All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, Kol Holoyim Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakol Kritash. All right. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. All right. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, you Latinos, and you Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right? We are the Hebrew Israelites. We come week in and week out to prophesy the downfall and the destruction of America. All right, because America in the Bible is known as Babylon the Great, or the great daughter of Babylon, or Mystery Babylon. And according to biblical prophecy, Mystery Babylon, all right, aka America, is going to be destroyed and wiped off the face of this earth by thermonuclear destruction. All right, by these ICBM missiles that are going to fall upon this earth in this third world war, man. All right, and we've been prophesying this week in and week out, man. All right, and now you see it coming to pass. All right, those that don't live under a rock and know what's happening, know what's going on. All right, it is now very evident who the true prophets and the true servants of the Lord are, and were this whole time, man. You understand? All right, the judgment of America is soon to come to pass, and that's to be exterminated and completely obliterated off the face of this earth, man. All right, but what I want to get into is you know, in this lesson, I want to get into back to the basics type lesson, man. You know, because when you come into this truth, you got to learn the basics first. All right, then you can learn the meat. All right, the basics in the scripture are known as the milk. All right, just like when you're a newborn baby. All right, you're first born into this world. All right, you eat what? You drink what? The milk. All right, that's your food. And then as you get older, you start to eat solid foods like meat and vegetables, all right, and fruits, all right, and that's the same thing when you come into this truth and receive this truth. You got to start off with the basic knowledge of the scriptures, and then you can get into the meat, which is the very deep stuff, you know. Example of the meat will be, you know, reincarnation, all right, the chariots, all right, which is what this world calls a UFO, all right. Another example of the meat will be all the parables and the dark sayings, the prophecies, all right, because the prophecies are written in parables. They're all dark sayings, all right. That's an example of the deep things of the scriptures, all right. You know, example of the milk will be, you know, the basic things will be, you know, learning who you are, all right, learning that you're an Israelite, all right, you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, all right, learning who your enemy is, you know, all Esau, even the so-called white man and all these other nations. All right, you know, learning the each tribes and their names and what they mean. You know, that's all basic stuff, man. All right. So, matter of fact, let's start off with that Isaiah the 28th chapter, right? So let's get it. Isaiah 28. All right, you gotta learn the basics first. All right. So it says Isaiah 28. And 9, it says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? All right, and that's why the Lord said you got to be reborn again. All right, reborn meaning, you know, you got to unlearn everything that you have learned and become a babe, a newborn child. All right, and then receive the milk all over again. You got to start all over again. All right, because when you were in the world and didn't know this knowledge, this truth, you didn't know Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, all right, you were in darkness, but now you got to erase all that from your memory. You got to relearn again, be reborn again. You got to become an infant again, a newborn babe, all right, and receive this milk. And as you grow, now you receive the meat and all the deep stuff, all right, and you become nasty, man, you know. So it says Isaiah 28 and 9, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? That's right. Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the drawn from the breast, all right? Because when you're a babe, all right, you drink from your mother's breast. You receive that milk, and that's how it is when you come into the scriptures. You learn the basis first. You receive that milk, all right? You receive that the light knowledge, then you get into the heavy knowledge of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah, right? So it says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. All right, so when you receive this milk, all right, now you learn precept upon precept, line upon line. That's how you grow. All right, precepts are two scriptures that link together to give you a better understanding, and we're going to get into that in a second. That's the next verse, right? But let's read the verse 9 again. All right, it says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. All right, and the Lord said to desire the sincere milk. All right, matter of fact, let's grab that. That's 1 Peter's the 2nd chapter. All right, when you come to this truth, you got to be reborn again. You got to unlearn everything you have learned, and then receive this milk. You got to start all over again, like you were just born into the world. All right, and then you got to desire that sincere milk. All right, hunger for it, just like how a baby hungers for milk. You got to hunger for this word, right? So let's get that. 1 Peter the 2nd chapter. All right, this is 1 Peter 2 and 1. And this is exactly why when the Lord told Nicodemus, all right, you got to be reborn again, you know? And the Lord said in Yahweh Shah, I think it was when he was in a temple, all right, he said, if you do not become like these little ones, all right, you shall not receive the kingdom of heaven. All right, meaning be reborn again. You got to be a babe coming into this thing, receiving this milk, you know, growing. All right. So it says, 1 Peter 2 and 1, it says, wherefore, laying aside all malice and guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings. Yeah, because the scriptures also say that you can't put new wine into old bottles. The new wine being this truth. When you receive this new wine, this truth, all right, you become reborn again, receiving this milk, all right, because the scriptures are known as milk in the Bible. They're known as water, wine, all right. This word, this truth is known as wine, water, milk in the scriptures, right? You can't put new wine into old bottles. So when you come into this truth and receive this new wine, you can't be an old bottle anymore. You got to put off that old man. You can't bring your old ways into this truth, man. All right. You can't come into this truth and still be out on the streets selling drugs, right? Doing drugs, right? Still being a scammer ass, you know, a filthy nigga, man. You know, you gotta, the scriptures say, wisdom shall not dwell in a malicious soul, man. You know, that's why all these niggas out here that got malicious souls, they have no wisdom in them, man. You know, just hating niggas, man. You know, talking about killing niggas in their raps, just want to kill another nigga because he got another color on. That's not wisdom, man. You know? All right. So it says, matter of fact, so let's bring that out real quick. I think that's in, give me a second. All right, that's Matthew 9 and 17. So let's grab that real quick, and then we'll go back to 1 Peter. All right, let's grab that real quick. All right, Matthew 9 and 17. It says, neither, and this is Yahweh Shai speaking. As you see these words, all right, you see, you got the black letters, the black words. All right, and what's written in red, that's what's written in red is the words of Yahweh Shai, all right, our Lord and Savior, the Messiah. So when you read words in the red, that's the Lord speaking. So this is what the Lord said, man. All right, Matthew 9 and 14. This is sort of like a dark saying. It is a dark saying, all right. Matthew 9 and 17, it says, neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break and the new wine runneth out. Yeah, because, you know, a lot of people that come into this truth, all right, they receive this new wine, All right, they don't want to put off the old man. And that's why they end up falling out and going back into the old world. Those old bottles break, right? They weren't able to withstand the trials and tribulations in this truth, so they go back into the world. But little do they know, they're going back into the world. It's going to be more worse for them, So it says, the scriptures say, it is better to not know the truth, all right, than to taste the glory of the world and to go back into the world, man. Roughly paraphrasing that verse, right? So it says, neither do men, this is Matthew 9 and 17, neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break and the wine runneth out, you see? And the bottles perish, all right? Yeah, you being that old bottle, you're gonna perish. Not putting off that old man, you're gonna perish, man. All right? That's why you see people like Alizar, right, fall out. All right? You see these two wicked niggas from Genesis. What's his name? Deacon Hakam, right? And Hassad, right? Bugged out as all hell. Now they talking about the other nations can be saved. The other nations can't be saved, all right? They're not going to receive rulership when Yahweh Shai comes back, all right? They're not going to get beamed up into the chariots to escape the nuclear destruction, all right? The only ones that are going to get beamed up into the chariots are the Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native American men, because those are who the true Israelites are, and that's who the chariots are going to pick up, the Israelites, man. That's why they're known as the chariots of Israel. All right, matter of fact, let's prove that. Let's get I think that's in 2 Samuel, right? Let's get 2 Samuel real quick. All right, is it 1 Samuel or 2 Samuel? I think it's 1 Samuel. So let's get it real quick. All right. No, my bad. I think it is 2 Samuel, or is it 2 Kings? We're gonna get it real quick. Give me a second. All right, it might be 2 Kings. Let me grab it real quick. All right, give me a second. Yeah. All right. So when you go into 2 Kings, all right, the 2nd chapter, you read about how Elijah the prophet got beamed up into a whirlwind. All right, that whirlwind is talking about a chariot. What this current world and current age calls a UFO, all right? Those orbs that you see in the sky, those glowing orbs that you see in the sky, all right? Those are the angels. Those are the chariots, all right? That's what the angels travel in. When you read Ezekiel, the 1st chapter, it tells you how the beings, all right, are in the wheels that are within a wheel, all right? Which is talking about the chariots, all right? But anyway, let's get 2 Kings, the 2nd chapter, all right, and I'll just get straight to the point, all right? It says, matter of fact, I'll start at verse 10. It says, 2 Kings 2 and 10, it says, and he said, thou hast asked a hard thing, nevertheless, yeah, because Elisha asked Elijah to receive a double blessing, all right, a double portion of the spirit that he had, right? And this is what Elijah said. It says, and he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass as they still went on and talked that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. All right, that chariot of fire is talking about what this world calls a UFO. That chariot of fire, that so-called UFO, is what took Elijah back up into the spirit world to be with the Heavenly Father. The same way that the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, got beamed up, man. All right, and took him back up to the spiritual realm. All right, to sit at the right hand of Yahweh. All right, the name of the Most High. All right. So it says, verse 11, it says, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. Yeah, so that's a question for you Christians, all right? You wacky-tacky Christians that think you have understanding of the Bible, man. All right? What is that chariot of fire? What is that horse of fire? Get out of here, bro. What are you doing, man?
Shit. Come on, man.
Stop being an asshole, man.
Why you pushing like that, bro?
Stop being an asshole.
Bro, why you pushing like that?
You being an asshole, bro. Stop it. Stop it. Don't do that, yo.
Why you pushing like that?
You came up here being an asshole, man.
That's it. You have to push him like that, bro.
You an asshole, bro.
You don't have to push him like that.
You an asshole.
Come on, man. Come on,
You
man.
know?
You don't have to push him like that. Come on, man. It's not that serious.
Déjalo.
Come on, man.
Déjalo.
Shalom.
Le digo, hey, déjalo. No, déjalo. ¿Y tú crees en Dios? Dios nunca juzga a la gente.
Hey, Pa, come here. Ben.
Why you push him like that, bro? It's not that serious, bro.
Yo quería hablar lo que tú hablas, yo quería decirlo. Y tú me aventaste a la verga.
All right, bro. All right, so we gonna keep teaching, man. All right, we gonna keep teaching. All right. So let's get it. 2 Kings. All right, this is 2 Kings 2:11. It says, and it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. All right, so that's a question for you wacky-tacky Christians, man. All right, what is that chariot of fire? All right, what is that those horses of fire that parted Elijah and Elisha asunder, man? All right, and it said a whirlwind took them up into heaven. What is that? What was that? That's a chariot, man. All right, and let me apologize to the cameraman too. All right, because as you seen, there was a brother that got into the camera, and I pushed him away, and he fell on the ground. All right, but he was drunk, man. He came up here, looked like when he was over there. I don't know if you heard. It sounded like he was scoffing. Drunk as hell. Scoffing and mocking at me preaching, man. So he walked up, drunk as hell, up to the camera, and the camera probably seen it, and I pushed him, and he fell to the ground, man. All right. So Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Ratazah, please forgive me, But I felt like he was being a scoffer and a mocker, man. So I just pushed him out the way, And as he was walking away, I felt bad, and I tried to tell him to come here so I could say sorry, right? But then he said F me in Spanish or whatever, and then he just walked away. But maybe I could have handled that better, but a lot of people come out here, they scoff and scorn, man. And the scriptures say he has prepared stripes for the back of scorners, man, for the back of scoffers, man. All right, because the scoffers and the scorners in these last days, they gonna be destroyed. All right, they gonna know death by pain. All right, and maybe I shouldn't have been like that with them. Maybe I should have maybe handled it better, because usually I do usually I do have a lot of patience. I'm not quick to react at all. But I felt like he was being an asshole, man. All right, in that moment I felt like he was being an asshole. You see how he got in the camera, trying to be a dickhead. He was drunk, man. Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, forgive me, man. Maybe I could have acted a little bit better and been more patient and softer, but whatever, But anyway, let's get back to the point. All right, the chariots are known as the chariots of Israel. All right, why? Because they're only pickup Israelites. It's not the chariots of the entire earth. It's not the chariots of Elam, right? It's not the chariots of Esau, the chariots of Cush. They're the chariots of Israel because they pick up Israelites, man. So that was the whole point. I'm going to get to it. I still haven't gotten to it yet. All right, but verse 12, it says, and Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel. You see? And the horsemen thereof, and he saw him no more, and he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in 2 pieces. All right, see, now it's bothering me a little bit. You know, how I push that guy, man. You know, I feel bad, man. Maybe, you know, the Lord have mercy upon me because of that. Because I ain't mean to react like that. I'm not even that type of person that, you know, to even react like that, man. You know, like I said, you got people that scoffing and scorning it, and they come up here being dickheads, man. You know, whatever, man. All right. The point was they're the chariots. That's why they call the chariots of Israel, because they pick up Israelites, man. You know, that was the whole point. That's why I brought out 2 Samuel. All right. But let's go back. All right. What was that? 1 Peter I had? 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. Right? I kind of lost my train of thought because, you know, all that just went on, man. All right. So let's get 1 Peter 2. Right? Back to, no, I was at Matthew. I was in Matthew, right? Let's get Matthew. And we link it up with 1 Peter 2. Matthew 9, right? Give me a second. Matthew 9 and 17. It says, and this is Yahweh Shai speaking, all right? Matthew 9 and 17, it says, neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break and the new wine runneth out, and the bottles perish. And they put new wine, but they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved. Yeah, because when you receive this new wine, this truth, this milk, all right, you got to put off that old man. You got to put off that old bottle, or else that bottle will break. You're going to break. You're going to fall into this world, and you're going to become worse than it was the first time. Than you were the first time when you came into this truth, before you came into this truth. All right? So you got to desire that sincere milk. All right? The basics, and learn from the ground up. All right? 1 Peter. All right? Again, 1 Peter 2 and 1. Let me get Isaiah first, because that's where I'm going to head back to. Right? So let's get 1 Peter 2 and 1 again. It says, wherefore lay aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, right? And that's why I brought out Matthew, all right, 9 and 17, because you got to put all that off. You can't put the new wine, you can't receive this milk and still be an old bottle, the same nigga you was before you came into this truth, right? So again, it says, 1 Peter 2 and 1, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word. Yeah, you got to desire the sincere milk of this word, man. When you first come into this truth, all right, you got to take it and just run with it, man. Don't quench the spirit. And you know, throughout, you know, this ministry and this walk, all right, things get hard, right? Trust me, I know. You know, we all know. All right, it gets hard. You may be slow at times. All right, but don't let your sins weigh you down. You know, you got it. The scriptures say a righteous man falleth 7 times. Right? You just got to get back up and keep going, man. Matter of fact, let's get that. The scriptures say, you know, let's grab it. Let's grab it. This is Ezekiel, not Ezekiel. This is 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, right? Let's grab it real quick. 2nd Ezra 16 and 77, it says, woe be unto them that are bound with their sins. Yeah, woe unto them. Woe means destruction. Destruction unto them that are bound with their sins. Because, you know, at times you might have a heavy heart, you know? You might feel ashamed, but don't let that, don't shroud yourself in that spirit, man. You got to get back and keep moving, man. We all fall short. We all fall short, man. But that's why Yahweh Shai died for us, man. So we could get back up and keep pushing. You got to understand. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai is a merciful power, man. All right? All right? What happened? Think about, you know, the woman that committed adultery and they were about to stone her. Now, adultery is a sin that's punishable by death. A woman that commits adultery is supposed to be put to death. And that's why they were getting ready to stone her. But the Lord had mercy on her. All right, he stopped them from committing, from putting her to death. And that's why he told her, go and sin no more. All right, adultery, she was supposed to be put to death, but the Lord had mercy on her. All right, the Lord had mercy on her. Go and sin no more. And you got to understand, the Lord, you know, he's slow to anger. Like the scriptures say, the Lord is slow to anger and merciful. All right? So, you know, you got to get back up. You got to ask and beg for mercy and keep it pushing, man. Hoping the Lord have mercy on you, man. And you got to believe, you know, when you ask for mercy, the Lord going to give you that mercy, man. You know, the scriptures say, you know, man's goings are of the Lord. You know, so you got to believe, like, listen, man, if the Lord didn't have mercy on you, you wouldn't be out here teaching and preaching his word, right? You know, you being out here on the highways and hedges, teaching and preaching and feeding the sheep, that's mercy. You knowing the name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, that's mercy. The fact that you able to pray to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai and ask for mercy and ask for salvation, that's mercy in itself, man. You know, to be able to do these things. You know, I wake up every day thanking the Lord, you know, that I'm even able to ask and beg for mercy. You know, because, you know, there's people out there that don't even know the name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. They can't even ask and beg the Lord for mercy. We're able to do so. That right there, you know, the fact that we're able to call upon the Lord and know his name and be able to do, that's mercy in itself, you know? And not only do we, you know, hope that the Lord not only called us, but we are also chosen. See, that's mercy, man. You know? Let's keep going, man. 2nd Ezra 16 and 77. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities. Yeah. Those that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquity, you can't have that woe is me spirit. You got to get out that, man. See, that's Satan. You know, when you have that spirit, that's actually demons, and that's Satan, man. You know, oh, the Lord don't love you anymore. The Lord not going to have mercy on you. You know, but we know through the scriptures, the Lord is a merciful power. There's a whole chapter, all right, in the book of Psalms, talking about the Lord's mercy. All right, matter of fact, let's get the book of Joel real quick. All right, let's get the book of Joel real quick. Give me a second. My hands are a little cold. All right. Joel, the 2nd chapter, right? Let me see. Joel 2 and 12, it says, therefore also now, saith the Lord Yahweh, turn ye even to me with all your heart. And that's something that we must do. and get better at. I myself, all right, you know, because we supposed to be fasting out here, man, right? And that's something I got to get better at because I haven't fasted in a long time, you know. I fasted when the Day of Atonement came, and I think maybe one time or maybe twice after that. It's already been like 3 or 4 months since the Day of Atonement. I've only fasted about once or twice after that, man. I got to get better with my fasting because I really haven't fasted in a long time, man. And that's how you really draw closer to the Lord. That's how you bring the Lord closer to you. Straight up. All right. What did Yahweh Shai say? He said, this only cometh by prayer and fasting. Woo. All right. So it says right here, therefore also now saith the Lord Yahweh, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your heart, and not your garments. Woo! All right. It says, and turn unto the Lord Yahweh your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil. Cool. All right. So you got to get up and keep going, man. All right. Woe unto them that are bound with their sins and full of their iniquities, man. All right. Let's read that again. All right. 2 Ezra 16:77. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities, man. You got to get up, man. Go and sin no more. Right. It says, like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through. It is left undressed, and it is cast into the fire to be consumed therewith. And that fire is talking about the nuclear missiles that are going to hit this earth in this third world war. If you're bound in your iniquity, if you're bound and covered with your sins, you got that woe is me spirit. You got that, oh, the Lord not dealing with me no more after, you know, I did this, and now you just drowned, man. You stopped everything, and, you know, now you got to endure to the end, man. Yeah, with this walk get hard, man. Right? But you got to endure, and that's why people fall out, because they can't take it, man. They can't take the demons trying to attack them, and, you know, it's a hard walk, man. They can't take these scoffers and scorners no more, right? You know, so they go back into the world, man. You know? But when you read what is it? Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter. I think it's Wisdom of Solomon, the 7th chapter. Right? It talks about you know, how this walk is a narrow path. It's so hard, it's so narrow that only one man could go through that path at one time. And on the left side is a fire, and on the right side is a deep water, man. So you basically on a tightrope, walking this course, this truth, being in this ministry, this faith, the true faith of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, right? So let's go back into let's read Joel 2:13 one more time. It says, and rend your heart and not your garments. Yeah, because, you know, you got to put on the garments, man, the armor of light, which is this truth, this word. All right, rend not your garments. Don't get rid of this truth, man. Hold fast, hold tight to that which is good. All right, what's that? 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Let's get that real quick. All right. All right, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. It says, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. All right, fast is an old English word for tight. You got to hold tight to this word. You got to hold fast to that which is good. Which is this word right here. Right? And Yahweh Shai said in the book of Revelation, all right, the 2nd chapter, let's get it. All right. Revelation 2 and 25, it says, but that which ye have already, hold fast until I come, all right? So you got to hold fast this truth, this wisdom, this knowledge, this understanding until Yahweh Shai returns. You got to endure unto the end, man. All right? Those that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. You got to keep pushing, keep walking, no matter what. No matter what. All right? Because, bro, we go through great hell in this truth. All right? Mentally, physically, emotionally. All right? A lot of us are depressed as all hell. Sad as hell. Bro, trust me, man. I know. All right? But the Lord gave us the comforter, man. All right? The comforter is this word. All right? His spirit that comes with this word, this truth. All right? This word comforts us. You know, it gives us hope. All right? When you read how the Lord is merciful, right? And you know, that we have a greater a kingdom, all right, that's ready to come, that's coming to us, man, that we don't got to live in this hellhole no more. You know, that gives us hope, man. We keep pushing, all right, because the Lord said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. This is what we want, man. Imagine living in a world, an age where you have complete power and rulership, man. There's no more hell. There's no more death. There's no more crying. There's no more sorrow. All right? We're going to have everything we have ever wanted. All right? We're going to gain everything that we have ever lost. Straight up. All right? Things that we don't have. All right? The Lord is going to give us everything that all lost time is going to be made up. You know how they say, there's a saying in this world, it goes, everything in this world could be gained back except for time wasted. Well, that's kind of true and it's kind of not. Because in the kingdom of heaven, all right, there's not going to be no time. All right, the kingdom of heaven is going to be forever. All right, so all lost time is going to be made for. Again, bro, all lost time is going to be made for, man. All right, those people that long for things and yearn for things in this life, we going to get that in the kingdom of heaven. All right, we going to get that in the kingdom of heaven. We going to have everything we ever hoped for and wanted in the kingdom, man. All right, so for brothers in this truth, just keep pushing. All right, or brothers that are just coming into this truth, man, take this word, receive it, and run with it. We going to regain everything. We going to regain everything. Everything. Look what happened to Job. Look what happened to Job. Job had everything. Everything. All right. He had a wife. All right. Children. A whole family. That's everything a man wants. That's everything a man wants. All right. That's everything a man hopes for. Wife, children, a family. That's what all men want. And the Lord took that from him. Right? The Lord put hell on Job. But guess what? He regained it all back. He had more children. And his children had children. Right? Matter of fact, let's get into that. Let's get into that, man. Let's get into that real quick. All right? Give me a second as I flip these pages, all right? Give me a second real quick. I was just... Yeah, so I read at the beginning of Job 1 and 1. It says, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, meaning perfect in faith. All right? Powerful faith. All right? And one that feared the Most High Yahweh and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. So he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had a nice family, man. All right. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, woo, and 500 yoke of oxen, which was 1,000, because a yoke is 2, if I'm not mistaken. A yoke is 2. So he had 500 yoke. So he had altogether 1,000 oxen. All right. So he had an entire family. He had a wife, right? He had a wife, and he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And it says that his substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she asses and a very great household. So he had, bro, he had a lot. A very great household he had. All right. He had a wife, 7 sons and 3 daughters, 500 oxen. Let's read that again. It says, and there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she asses and a very great household. So that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right. He was known as the greatest man of all the East. He had all that in a bag of chips, man. All right. And the Lord took all that from him. So he had all that, but then he gained even more after the Lord took it away. So you got to understand, and bro, see, when you read things like this, it's supposed to give you hope. All right. Because you may have something, right? Like, look at me. I had a job. I'm going to give you my testimony. I had a job. I had a car. I had money, right? And the Lord took all that away from me, because when I had that stuff, I wasn't being diligent like I was supposed to, man. So the Lord, because, you know, I kind of don't want to get into it because I'm a little ashamed of it, but, you know, the Lord had to take my car away, man. You know, because I wasn't, you know, as soon as, you know, when he took my car away, that's when I started getting to doing the work. Even after my car got taken away, I was still being stupid as hell, right? But then one day this great fear fell upon me, right? Because the Lord know you better than you know yourself, man. You know, if I get a car, I probably, but I learned to be a better man, yo. You know? Is the reason why the Lord does certain things. All right? To you, it may seem like, the Lord being hard on you, but the Lord doing that for your own good, right? So in this walk, you go through hell, but you got to understand you're going to get it all back 100-fold. Just like Job, man. You're going to get it all that time, all this lost time here and now. It's really not lost time, really. Because we doing the greatest thing that you could do is be a prophet, a servant of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. But everything that, everything lost or we going to get it all back in the kingdom of heaven, man. We're going to have wife. We're going to have children. All right. We're going to have power, rulership, everything we ever wanted, man. The mindset that we want, bro, we're going to have everything, bro. The Lord going to give you things you didn't even know you wanted, because the Lord know you better than you know yourself, right? So you might be into something that you didn't even know you was into like that. But when the Lord, in the kingdom of heaven, when the Lord show you, you're going to be like, yo, that joint hard right there. You're going to be like, you're going to be like, and it might be hard to you. It might not be hard to nobody, because the Lord know your mind, yo. All right? The Lord know your mind. You be like, the Lord going to give you your own planet, right? Because what do you think the Lord meant when he said, in my Father's house, there are many mansions? The Lord made this entire universe, bro. There's billions and billions and billions of galaxies, bro. We gonna be hopping on galaxy to galaxy, planet to planet. The Lord gonna give you a planet, right? That is tailor made just for you. It's gonna be you gonna hop on that planet and be like, yo, all right. So as we just read with everything that Job had, and the Lord took it from him, but the Lord even gave him more than what he had at the beginning. And that's what the Lord is going to do to us whole as Israel, man. As Israelites, man. Because in the scriptures say the Lord is going to raise up the tabernacle of David in the last days. All right. Which is another name for the elect. Right. The 1/3. All right. He's going to raise up the tabernacle of David, which is the elect. And he's going to make us better than we were at the beginning during the time of King David, King Solomon. Right. Because that's when we were at our peak, right? But the Lord gonna do us better than that, man. Right? Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. All right. Let's get that real quick. All right. That's in Ezekiel. Let me find it real quick. It's in Ezekiel 36, I think. Let me check it out real quick. 35. If I'm not, I just hold on a second. I know it's in Amos too, right? Amos 9. All right, Ezekiel 36, I was right. Ezekiel 36 and 11. All right, give me a second because I lost the page. Right? So Ezekiel 36 and 11, it says, and I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit, and I will settle you after your old estates. Yeah, because in the ancient world, we was a powerful and very great nation. And this is talking about the kingdom of heaven. All right, the Lord is going to set us up after our old estates. How we were in the ancient world, that great, powerful, and great nation. But it's going to be better than that, right? Because that was just a little taste. Because we were in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to be perfect. We're going to be immortal. All right? We're going to be we're going to be powerful, man. I'm not going to say all because the Lord is all powerful. All right? But we're going to be lesser powers, lesser gods than Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. We're going to be perfect, man. We're going to be immortal. We're not going to sin. We're going to be perfect. New bodies. Great minds. You know? All right. So it says, and I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. All right. And that's exactly what the Lord did to Job. All right. Because he had a wife, he had kids, right? He had all that he had, but the Lord gave him more at the end, right? So that's how the Lord is going to do unto us. He's going to do better unto us than our beginnings, man. All right? Imagine your the best moment of your life, you know, whatever you make it, whatever it was 3 years ago, 4 years, whatever, man. All right? The kingdom of heaven is going to be a trillion, gazillion, manillion, dedillion times better than anything you ever imagined or hoped for. What did Apostle Paul say? He said, eye has not seen, nor ear has heard, all right, of the things that the Lord has prepared unto them, man. What we going to see, the things that we're going to see in the kingdom of heaven, all right, is going to be things that we have never saw before or even thought of. Right? You could think as hard as you want, it's not going to come into your mind the things that we're going to see in the kingdom of heaven. Bro, we're going to have it all, man. Literally. We're going to rule this entire earth with Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is going to share his throne with the elect. All right? That's the truth, man. You know? All right? And I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Yeah, you're going to know that Yahweh is Yahweh. That he's the Most High. You're going to see the power in Yahweh. We see the power in Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Now, all right, we know the Lord's power is unlimited. omnipotent. The angels in the book of Revelation is called the Lord omnipotent, which means unlimited power. All right, unlimited. I think that's Revelation 19, if I'm not mistaken. Let's get that real quick if I can find it. All right, if I can find it. Now I just continue. All right. Give me a second. Give me a second. I want to see if I can find it real quick. Yeah. All right. Woo-hoo. All right. This is Revelation 19. And 6. It says, "And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Alleluia, and the Lord God Yahweh omnipotent reigneth." That's right. Our Lord Yahweh, all right? Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, all right? The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, all right? He's omnipotent, unlimited power. His power, it don't end. It don't end, man. Imagine having limited, bro. Imagine a God having an almighty power. You know, someone claiming to be the Most High having limited power. Come on, man. Yahweh is omnipotent. He's omnipotent reigneth. All right, that's the power of the Lord. Omnipotent, unlimited. His power just keep getting more and more. The Lord could keep overdoing himself forever. The Lord could overdo himself forever. All right, what the Lord did what the Lord did for the Israelites, all right, in ancient Egypt, you know, bringing them through the Red Sea, that's going to be the Lord is going to overdo that. The Lord is going to overdo that. All right. All right. The Lord. That's why, because throughout the scriptures, the Lord is known as the God that brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, right? All throughout the scriptures, Yahweh, all right, refers to himself as the God that brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, all right? But when you read Jeremiah, the 16th chapter, all right, he's no more going to be called the God that brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. He's going to be called the God that brought the children of Israel out of the land of the north, which is America. All right, because there's going to be a second Exodus. All right, there's going to be a second Exodus, man. This time the Lord, he's not going to deliver all of Israel, because in ancient Egypt he delivered all of Israel. This time he's going to only deliver the elect. All right, but this deliverance is going to be far greater. All right, something that your mind can't even fathom. All right, it's going to be far greater than the deliverance back in ancient Egypt, man. All right, because the Lord he's going to come with the chariots, all right, what this world calls a UFO, all right, and we're going to get beamed up into those chariots to escape the nuclear destruction, the lake of fire, all right, that America's getting ready to be engulfed in, all right. You can read about that in Jeremiah the 16th chapter, all right. The Lord is not going to be no more called the God, all right, that brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the God that brought the children of Israel out of the land of the north, because what the Lord is getting ready to do is going to trump what he did in ancient Egypt. He's going to overdo himself. All right, the Lord he's going to top himself. All right, but he's going to top what he did in ancient Egypt. All right. So again, where was I? All right, it says Revelation 19 and 6, it says, "And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thunderings, saying, Alleluia, for the Lord God Yahweh omnipotent reigneth." All right, omnipotent, he's unlimited. All right, unlimited reigneth. All right. So let's go back to Ezekiel again. It says, Ezekiel 36:11, it says, and I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit, and I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. That's right. So we're gonna be better, because in the kingdom, that's the kingdom of heaven. You ain't no better than the kingdom of heaven. We're gonna be immortal. All right, kings and gods on this earth, never gonna die, never gonna sin. All right, we're gonna have spiritual powers, manipulate elements. We're gonna keep the laws perfectly. Like, come on, man. You know? All right. So, drifted off, the lessons within lessons, man. You know how the spirit go. All right, but let's go back into Isaiah. All right, because I was talking about, at the beginning of this lesson, you got to start off with the basics first. All right, the basics in the Bible is known as the milk. You got to start off with the milk and then go into the meat. All right, like a newborn babe, when they brought into this world an infant, all right, they feed on milk first. All right, then they go into the meat, solid food. All right, first you start off with the milk, the basics of the scriptures, then you get into the deep stuff. All right, so let's bring that out again. All right, Isaiah 28. All right, and then we're gonna keep breaking that down. All right, Isaiah 28 and 9, it says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Yeah, those that are weaned from the milk and are drawn from the breast. All right, so when you understand this word, you got to start off with the milk first. When you come into it, you got to start off with the milk first. All right, and you got to desire that sincere milk. Again, let's go into 1 Peter. You got to desire that sincere milk. You start off with the milk first. 1 Peter 2:1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and evils and all evil speakings. Again, and that's why I brought out before Matthew 9:17. You can't put new wine into old bottles. You got to put off that old bottle, that old man, when you come into this truth, when you receive this new wine. That's why Peter said this. All right, wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desiring the sincere milk of the word. So you gotta become a new man. You gotta become a newborn babe, a new man, desiring the sincere milk. You gotta become a newborn babe. All right, by unlearning all the falsehoods you learned, and come into this truth, receiving this new wine. All right, you got to become a newborn babe. That's why the Lord said, matter of fact, let's get it. You got to become that newborn babe. All right. Matthew 18:3, the Lord said you got to become like the little children. All right, Matthew 18:3, let's grab it. All right. All right, I'll start at verse 1. It says, Matthew 18:1, it says, at the same time came the disciples unto Yahushua, saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Yahushua called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them, and said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. You see, you got to become reborn again. You got to be as little children. All right, receiving the sincere milk, the basics. You got to relearn everything, man. All right, you got to start all over again. All right, be reborn. That's why the Lord told Nicodemus, you got to be reborn again. Nicodemus said, how can a man go back into his mother's womb? And Nicodemus was supposed to be a high priest. All right, Nicodemus was a high priest. He's supposed to know things, man. All right, and the Lord and Yahushua said, how you being a high priest not know this? He was getting at Nicodemus. You know? So again, Matthew 18:1, no, Matthew 18:3 says, and said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter in the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, you gotta be converted, man. You gotta become as a babe, be reborn again. All right, reborn meaning receiving this the true wisdom, the true knowledge, the true doctrine. That's how you become reborn again, receiving the true doctrine. The scriptures say, how shall a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed unto this word. That's how you cleanse his way. That's how you become baptized, right? Because these wacky tacky Christians, right, they have no understanding of the scriptures. They think being baptized is, being dipped in water, because the word baptized means to cleanse. But how do you become cleansed? Through the word. All right, the Lord said by the washing of the water through the word. Right, dipping because being dipped in water, that's just the ceremonial part of baptism. That's not the true baptism. That's just the ceremonial part of the baptism. Being dipped in the water, right? That's just the ceremonial part of it. Showing yourself that, now, because being dipped in water and then coming back up again, that represents being reborn, coming out of your mom's womb. Because when you're in your mom's womb, you're in what? You're in fluids. You're in blood, you're in water, right? But that's just the ceremonial part of baptism. That's just, the ceremonial part. The true baptism is, taking heed and being a doer of the word. That's what true baptism is. All right, by the washing of the water through the word. All right, roughly paraphrasing that scripture. All right, come on, man. All right. So Matthew 18:3 again, it says, and said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right, so you got to be reborn again. You got to receive this milk, desire the sincere milk. All right, so let's also get that too. That's in 1 Corinthians 3:2. All right, 1 Corinthians 3. All right, let's grab that. All right, let's start at verse 1. All right, 1 Corinthians 3:1, it says, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you. It says, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Yahushua. I have fed you with milk and not with meat. Yeah, because you got to start off with the milk first, the basics. When you teaching somebody, right, you got to give them the milk first, because they're not going to be able to handle the meat, the deep stuff, the very great and deep stuff of the scriptures. Right, some people are able to hop into the deep stuff right away, depending on how much the Lord dealing with them, right? The basic stuffs, learning that you're an Israelite, learning who Esau, Edom is, your enemy, and all these other nations are, And the deep stuff will be, the parables, the dark sayings in the parables, all the prophecies, the book of Revelations, the book of Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, all the deep and dark parables, the prophecies, the chariots, I would say that's the meat, reincarnation, that's meat, what else? Yahushua died for the nation of Israel. That's meat. All right, only for the nation of Israel, the Negro, Latino, Native American, but that's meat. All right, that's knowledge that has been hid from generations. All right, knowledge that's being made manifest in these last days. So it says right here, 1 Corinthians 3:2, I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it. Yeah, because they weren't ready for it. A lot of people are not ready to hear the meat, the deep and dark stuff of the scriptures. You got to start off with the milk first, man. You got to learn the basics, and then you grow. You grow. All right, you grow. You gotta grow, man. All right. That's why we read in Isaiah the 28th chapter. All right, the 9th verse. Whom shall ye teach knowledge? All right, them that are drawn from the breast, man. Those that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. All right, newborn babes. All right, reborn again. Right? It says, I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. Yeah. All right. That's why Apostle Paul said, I got to give you the basics first. I got to give you the milk first, because you were not able to bear the meat. All right. See, a lot of times you got to, our job is to reel in the elect. All right. That's why the prophets are known as fishers. All right. We're here to fish in and reel in the elect. Or a lot of times you can't come at somebody real quick with the deep stuff. You can't come at them with the laws all quick, and because people are not gonna, they come in gradually. They're not gonna drop, everything cold turkey, All right. It says, I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. All right. So a lot of people are not able to bear this the meat at first. All right. So let's go back to Isaiah. All right, and finish that also could make more sense. Right. Isaiah 28 and 9. It says, whom shall ye teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. And that's why, when you first come to this truth, you learn the basics, the milk. And that's why the Lord said, for precept must be upon precept, line upon line, because that's how you learn the scriptures. By bringing precept upon precept. Precepts are two scriptures that link together to give you a better understanding of what's being said. All right, that's how you learn, by putting precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. All right, did not King Solomon? Let's get that. All right, was it King Solomon? All right, what's that? Psalms 119 and 104. Let's grab that. Psalms 119 and 104. Right, but let's read this again one more time. It says, for precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. All right, so when you put the precepts together, you get better understanding. All right, two scriptures that link together to get better understanding. That's how you learn. That's how you learn the basics, the milk. All right, those that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast, man. All right, that's how you grow and learn. All right, so this is Psalms 119 and 104. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. Yeah, because once you get once you get the understanding of the scriptures, knowledge, and all this wisdom and knowledge that the Lord gave us, you're gonna hate all this madness that goes on in the world, man. Your spirit gets vexed when you see this wickedness and madness and stupidity, all right, that's going on in the world. When you see your parents still celebrating these wicked ass holidays, all right, that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai said not to celebrate, like Christmas and Easter, all right, Valentine's Day, all this madness the Lord said not to celebrate, man, because all this goes back to the customs of the heathens, man. None of this stuff has to do with us and our people. None of this has to do with the Israelites, man. The Lord never told the Israelites to celebrate Easter, Halloween, New Year, right? Christmas, Valentine's Day. The Lord didn't tell us to celebrate any of these things, man. Matter of fact, let's get that in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 10. So when you see all these false ways, all this wickedness, it vexes your spirit. Till this day, my mother, bro, just bugged out, man. These people are bugged out as hell, man. Grown as hell. Don't even know that a Christmas tree is supposed to represent a penis, man. All right? Christmas tree is supposed to represent a penis, and the wreaths you put on your door, that's supposed to represent a vagina, man. All right? The balls you put on the Christmas tree is supposed to represent testicles, right? So y'all people don't even know what y'all celebrating, man. All right? You wasn't fed with wisdom and knowledge, right? Jeremiah 10:1, it says, "Hear ye the word of the Lord Yahweh." Let me read that again. It says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel." Yeah. So the Lord is speaking unto us, the nation of Israel, the Negro, Latino, Native American men. All right, the people on this sign right here. All right, you Negroes, you Haitians, you West Indians, you Panamanians, you Guatemalans, you Puerto Ricans, you Dominicans, you Mexicans, you Colombians, Argentinians. All right, y'all all Israelites, man. So the Lord is speaking this unto you. All right. "Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen." Yeah, the Lord said, learn not the way of the heathen. All right. The heathen is the other nations. You're not supposed to learn their ways, their customs. All right. Christmas goes all the way back to Saturnalia. But it actually goes back further than that. It goes back all the way to the ancient Babylonian Empire, Nimrod and Semiramis. All right, Tammuz. All right, that's what it goes back to. The Lord said not to partake in those customs. Learn not the way of the heathen. Christmas is the way of the heathen. Easter is the way of the heathen. All right, Valentine's Day is the way of the heathen. Okay. All right, New Year's is the way of the New Year's is not even New Year's. New Year's is in March and April. Dummies. All right. It says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them." Yeah, we're not supposed to be dismayed at the signs of heaven. You know, all these signs that the Lord show us, right? It's not supposed to trouble us. We're supposed to be word. The Lord is coming back soon. See, the heathen are dismayed at the signs. You know, these blood moons, all right, the chariots that be hanging in the sky, right? That's for us. That's the Lord is giving those signs for us. You know? But the point was, learn not the way of the heathen. The Lord told the Israelites, learn not the way of the heathen. We're not supposed to partake in these customs, man. It literally has these customs have nothing to do with the Heavenly Father and His Son. See, y'all think y'all celebrate Christmas thinking y'all celebrating some holy day, thinking y'all celebrating the Lord and His birthday. When the Lord said not to even, nowhere in the Bible did the Lord teach you to celebrate a man's birthday. When did the Lord teach you to celebrate His birthday or anyone else's birthday? Don't you know birthdays go back to Satanism, right? The highest holy day in Satanism is the celebration of one's birthday. Y'all look it up. All right? That's why in the book of Job, Job said, cursed be the day wherein with I was born. All right? The Lord, Job cursed his birthday. He didn't bless his birthday. He cursed his birthday, man. All right? He said, cursed be the day wherein I was born. Right? Because you're born into hell. All right? You know, birthdays go back to in Satanism, like I was saying, in Satanism, birthdays are the highest holy days. All right? But it goes back to the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks, all right, they used to bake round cakes for their gods. All right? The ancient Greeks used to bake round cakes for their gods. all right? And then they used to stick candles in the cakes, all right? And they used to make prayers to their gods. And they used to blow out the candles, and the smoke will go up. The smoke represents, their prayers going up to their gods. And then they will huddle around the cake and then sing chants around the cake, and that's where the birthday song comes from. See, that's all customs of the heathen, all right? So when you partake in celebrating your birthday, singing the birthday song, having the cake, blowing out the candles, that goes back to the ancient Greeks, all right? See, you partaking in worshiping other gods and not even knowing it, man, all right? Partaking in the customs of the heathens, man, all right? But let's go back to, matter of fact, let's go back to, let's get John 3. Let's get John 3. No, matter of fact, let's go back to Isaiah 28. All right, Isaiah 28. All right, what did I get? No, I was in Psalms, my bad. Psalms 119 and 104, it says, through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. So when you come into this truth, all right, learn the milk, all right, you learn precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. So let's go back to that, all right, Isaiah. All right, so that's why when it reads, I'll read it again. It says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. All right, for precept must be upon precept, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow. You come to this truth, you see the basics, and then you take it precept upon precept, line upon. That's how you get the understanding. That's how you grow. That's how you learn the scriptures. All right, it says for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. All right, and with stammering lips and another tongue he will speak to this people. All right, so that's how you learn the basics of the scriptures, man. All right, you got to receive the milk first before you enter the milk. All right, what did we just read in 1 Corinthians 3rd chapter? Let's get that again. All right, and then I'm gonna get John the 3rd chapter. All right. All right, 1 Corinthians 3 and 1, it says, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you as spiritual but as unto carnal. Yeah, because, when you first come into this truth, all right, the brethren are not so much spiritual yet. That's why you got to learn the basics, the milk, then the meat. Then you become spiritual. You learn how to be spiritually discerned. The Lord start dealing with you more. So now you become spiritual. Right, you start being able to discern. You have a spiritual eye. All right, your eye is single. All right, you're able to see when somebody is scoffing or being sarcastic, being a dickhead, All right, it says, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you. I speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Yahweh Shai. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. You see? So that's why the Lord also said in John, right? So let's grab it in the book of John, the 3rd chapter, when he was speaking to Nicodemus. Right? John 3, and I'll start at 3 and 5. It says, Yahweh Shai answered, verily, verily, I say unto you. No, it says, Yahweh Shai answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh. All right, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, And that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. Matter of fact, let me read up because the point was up further. All right, it says, John 3:3, it says, Yahushua answered and said unto him. No matter of fact, I'll just start at verse 1. All right, John 3:1, it says, there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. All right, the same came to Yahushua by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we must know that thou art a teacher from the Most High Yahweh, for no man can do these miracles that thou doest except the Most High be with him. Yahushua answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High. All right, so you gotta be born again, meaning becoming a new. You gotta become a babe. Put off that old bottle. Receive this milk. All right, those that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast is how you come into this truth. All right. Yahushua answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh. So you got to be born again, meaning you got to unlearn all the falsehood and receive the true doctrine, the true knowledge of this word. Not plantation Christianity, not Islam, not Buddhism, not Catholicism. You got to be reborn again. You got to become as a babe. All right? That's what that means, man. Be born again. All right? A new man. All right? Nicodemus saith unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? All right? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Yahushua answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh. All right? That which is born of the flesh and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. No, let me read that again. It says, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell whence it cometh. All right, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. That's right, man. Because the Spirit, when you teach, it goes however, you know, it wants to go, man. Just like today, man. You know, I started off with, you know, teaching, you know, about, you know, what I'm teaching now. But, you know, you go off and you drift off into other things, man. You know, the Spirit, you know, has you going where the Spirit where the Lord wants you to go, you know. All right. So it says, but cannot tell whence it cometh and whither it goeth. So is every man that is born of the Spirit. All right. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Yahushua answered and said unto him, art thou a master of Israel and knowest not these things? Yeah, because he was a high priest, all right, of the Pharisees. And he asked, he said, aren't you a master in Israel and you don't even know these things? All right. He's supposed to have that knowledge, right? It says, verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. All right. So, you know, the whole point was, you know, you got to be reborn again. That's what I wanted to bring out, you know, to receive this milk. When you come into this truth, you got to learn the milk first, then the meat. All right. You know, you got to take it little by little, precept upon precept, line upon line. You grow little by little, gradually, man. All right. So, you know, I'll leave it at that. Lord willing, this lesson, you know, is edifying or was edifying. Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Ratazah. You know, this lesson is edifying, man. All right. So I ended at that. I want to say, Kol Holoyam Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakah Kwitash. All right. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. peace and mercy unto you, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right, so with that being said, until the next one, Shalom.